In a galaxy not too far from... We've changed the galaxy, haven't we? Evelyn smiled back, leaning into him. We did. And it all started with love. And so their story became a legend, a love that not only bridged two worlds but united an entire galaxy. Despite the growing peace and transformation across the galaxy, not everyone was convinced that emotions were the way forward. A secret rebellion began to form, led by none other than Drexen, the rogue Zephyrian who had tried to sway Xyla before. Drexen was now gathering like-minded individuals from various planets, beings who believed that emotions, especially love, made the galaxy weak and vulnerable. In the shadows, Drexen built an army known as the Void Order, their goal to undo everything Evelyn and Xyla had accomplished. They wanted to restore a galaxy where power and control reigned supreme, where emotions were suppressed, and where love would be seen as a foolish fantasy. Drexen's agents began spreading doubt, fueling conflict between planets that had just begun to experience peace. Whispers of rebellion reached Evelyn and Xyla, who were now well known throughout the galaxy as ambassadors of unity and love. Stories of their love, how it bridged not just two worlds, but countless others, were told across the stars. They became symbols of hope, and their names were whispered in the halls of power, in the hearts of the young and old, and in the dreams of those seeking a better future. But for Evelyn and Xyla, the greatest reward was not the fame or the legend they had become. It was simply being together, their love continuing to grow, stronger than ever. One quiet evening, aboard their ship, Xyla looked out at the stars and smiled. "Do you think it's over now?" Evelyn laughed softly. "The adventure? Maybe. But love. Love is never over. It's only just beginning." They stood there, hand in hand, gazing out at the infinite expanse of the universe. The stars twinkled above them, each one a reminder of the countless lives they had touched. And as they embraced, they knew that no matter what the future held, their love would always be the light that guided them through the darkest of nights. For in the end, love had not just bridged two worlds, it had become a force that transcended time, space, and even the boundaries of reality itself. But the Void Order was cunning, striking from the shadows and causing chaos without revealing their true intentions. One night, as Evelyn and Xyla were resting aboard their ship, they received a distress signal from a peaceful planet they had helped. The once thriving world was now under siege by unknown attackers. "We need to go," Xyla said, his face tense with worry. Evelyn nodded. "It's Drexen. I can feel it. He's trying to tear down everything we've built." They set a course for the planet, unaware that this would be their most dangerous challenge yet. As they approached the besieged planet, Evelyn couldn't shake a growing sense of dread. Drexen's plan wasn't just to wage war, it was to divide them. He knew the strength of their bond, and if he could break that bond, he would break everything they stood for. Once they landed on the planet, they found it in ruins. Buildings were burning, and the air was thick with the sound of battle. But it wasn't just an ordinary battle. The attackers were using advanced technology to amplify fear and anger, driving the planet's inhabitants into a frenzy. Evelyn and Xyla fought their way through the chaos, trying to calm the people and restore order. To her surprise, the response came instantly, and it wasn't just a message. It was a Zephyrian ship that appeared right outside her lab, cloaked from human sight, except for her. The ship hovered silently before a bright light engulfed her, and suddenly Evelyn found herself on board. Inside the sleek, metallic walls of the spaceship, Evelyn met a tall, silver-skinned alien named Xyla. He had glowing blue eyes, hair like liquid silver, and spoke in a calm, musical voice. "I am Xyla of Zephyria," he said, his gaze intense yet soft. "We have been watching Earth for centuries, studying your people. But now we need help." Evelyn was speechless. The idea of aliens wasn't new to her, but standing face to face with one was beyond belief. "What kind of help do you need?" she asked, her heart pounding. "Our planet is dying," Xyla explained. "Our people have lost the ability to feel. We've mastered technology, but we've forgotten how to care for one another, how to love. We believe the key to saving our world lies in human emotions." Evelyn was puzzled. "How can I help?" Xyla's glowing eyes met hers, and as their ship sailed off into the stars, their story, a story of love, hope, and unity, would live on, forever written in the cosmos. But as they did, Drexen's voice echoed through the battlefield, broadcast through hidden speakers. Xyla, Drexen's voice taunted. "Look at what your emotions have done. Look at the chaos love has brought. You could have been strong, you could have ruled. But instead you chose weakness. Xyla gritted his teeth, but Evelyn could see the pain in his eyes. Drexen's words were getting to him. He's wrong, she said, grabbing Xyla's hand. Don't let him manipulate you. Xyla nodded, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Drexen's words echoed in his mind as they continued to fight their way toward the center of the conflict. As they reached the heart of the battlefield, they found Drexen waiting for them. He stood atop a crumbling monument, his silver eyes gleaming with malice. You failed, Xyla, Drexen sneered. Love hasn't saved the galaxy. It's tearing it apart. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice steady. No, Drexen. You're the one tearing it apart. You're using fear and anger to divide people. Love is what brings them together. I need to understand what love is. Only then can I save my people. Evelyn agreed to teach Xyla about human emotions. Over the next few days, they spent time together on Earth, with Xyla using a special cloaking device to blend in as a human. Evelyn showed him the beauty of simple things, holding hands, laughing at jokes, and watching sunsets. As they explored, Xyla began to change. He started feeling emotions for the first time. He was fascinated by the way humans could love so deeply. But more than that, he was drawn to Evelyn in a way he couldn't explain. She was kind, smart, and adventurous, and for the first time, Xyla felt a strange warmth in his chest whenever he looked at her. Evelyn also began to see Xyla differently. At first she thought of him only as an alien, but soon she realized how much she enjoyed his company. He was gentle, curious, and had a way of making her feel special. Like she mattered in the vast universe. As Xyla learned more about love, his feelings for Evelyn grew stronger, but there was a problem. Back on Zephyria, the Zephyrian Council discovered his relationship with a human and saw it as a threat. Drexen's face twisted into a cruel smile. You're so naive, human. Love makes people vulnerable, and vulnerability leads to pain. Look around you. Do you see peace? No. You see destruction, and it's all because of your foolish emotions. Xyla's fists clenched, torn between his feelings for Evelyn and the cold logic Drexen was presenting. The battlefield around them seemed to slow, the chaos becoming distant as he struggled with the conflict inside him. Evelyn saw the struggle in Xyla's eyes and her heart ached. She stepped closer to him, placing her hand on his cheek. Xyla, listen to me. Love isn't about never getting hurt. It's about standing together even when things are difficult. We've fought so hard and we've brought so much good to the galaxy. Don't let Drexen's lies take that away from us. Xyla's gaze met hers, and in that moment everything became clear again. You're right, Evelyn. Love is worth fighting for. It always has been. Seeing that his words no longer held sway over Xyla, Drexen's expression darkened. Then you leave me no choice, he snarled. They didn't believe in emotions and saw love as a weakness. They demanded Xyla return and warned him never to see Evelyn again. Heartbroken, Xyla told Evelyn he had to leave. I don't want to go, he confessed, his voice trembling. But if I stay, they will just together. Evelyn and Xyla returned to Zephyria, facing the Zephyrian Council. Evelyn stood in front of the cold, emotionless leaders and spoke from the heart. You think emotions make you weak? But you're wrong. Love makes us stronger because it brings us together. It helps us understand each other, fight for each other, and protect what we care about. Without it, you may have technology, but you have nothing worth living for. Xyla stepped forward. I have felt love, and it has made me more powerful than I've ever been. We can save our world, not by abandoning emotions, but by embracing them. The council was silent for a long moment, but eventually they agreed to give Xyla and Evelyn a chance. With a wave of his hand, Drexen summoned an army of robotic warriors, their eyes glowing with the same cold, emotionless light that Drexen's did. Evelyn and Xyla stood side by side, ready for the battle ahead. We've faced worse, Evelyn said, with a grin. Xyla smiled back, his confidence restored. Together we can face anything. The battle that followed was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Drexen's army was relentless, programmed to destroy without mercy. But Evelyn and Xyla fought with a power greater than any machine love. As they moved through the battlefield, their connection fueled their strength, their movements in perfect sync. In the heat of the battle, They were unstoppable. Evelyn used her knowledge of human ingenuity to hack into the robot systems, disrupting Drexen's control. Meanwhile, Xyla's superior strength and agility allowed him to take down entire squads of enemies with ease. Together, they pushed forward toward Drexen, who watched from above, growing more desperate by the second. As the battle raged on, something unexpected began to happen. The inhabitants of the planet, those who had been driven to madness by Drexen's fear-inducing technology, began to snap out of their frenzy. Seeing Evelyn and Xyla fighting side by side, risking their lives for the people, sparked something inside them. They began to fight back, not with anger, but with hope. Families came together, friends helped each other, and even strangers united to protect their home. The tide of the battle turned. What Drexen had tried to destroy with fear and hate was now being rebuilt with love and unity. Evelyn and Xyla, now surrounded by the planet's people, faced Drexen one last time. This is what you'll never understand, Drexen, Evelyn said, her voice firm. Love doesn't make us weak. It makes us stronger than anything you could ever imagine. Drexen, realizing he had lost, made one last desperate attempt to strike them down. But before he could, the people of the planet surrounded him, their united strength overwhelming his technology. With his power broken and his army defeated, Drexen was finally brought to justice. With Drexen's defeat, the galaxy began to heal. They would allow emotions to be reintroduced to their people, but only if it proved to be the key to saving Zephyria. Over the next few months, Evelyn and Xyla worked together to bring love back to Zephyria. It wasn't easy, but slowly the planet began to heal. Planets that had been torn apart by war and division were now rebuilding, united by the very thing Drexen had tried to destroy: love. Evelyn and Xyla's story spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of hope for worlds across the galaxy. Together, they had proven that love could not only bridge two worlds but could unite an entire galaxy. As they stood on the deck of their ship, gazing out at the stars, Xyla turned to Evelyn with a smile. We did it, he said softly. We changed the galaxy. Evelyn smiled back, her heart full. And we did it together. And so, their journey continued not as a human and an alien, but as two beings united by love, ready to face whatever the universe had in store for them next. The stars above twinkled, and somewhere in the vast expanse of space, new stories of love, unity, and hope were just beginning. Just when it seemed like peace had truly settled across the galaxy, a mysterious signal was intercepted by Evelyn and Xyla's ship. The transmission came from deep within an uncharted region of space, known only as the Nexus, where no known civilization had ventured. The news of their connection, the merging of human and alien emotions, sent ripples across the entire galaxy. Other planets, hearing about the transformation on Zephyria, began to wonder, could emotions, especially love, be the key to their own problems? One such planet was Kragathor, a war-torn world known for its brutal inhabitants, the Kragaths. Their society was built on conquest, and they had no concept of kindness or empathy. But as rumors of Zephyria's rebirth spread, a small faction of Kragaths began to question their violent ways. Could love bring peace to Kragathor as it had for Zephyria? Evelyn and Xyla were invited by the leaders of Kragathor to share their experience. It was a dangerous mission, as many Kragaths were still hostile to the idea of change. But both knew that if love could reach a place as cold as Zephyria, it could even warm the hearts of warriors. On the journey to Kragathor, a shadow loomed over Xyla. A mysterious figure known only as Drexen, a rogue Zephyrian who had rejected the path of emotions, sought to stop this newfound peace. Drexen believed that emotions made beings vulnerable and that they would lead to chaos in the galaxy. The signal wasn't just a call for help, it was a message that sent chills through Xyla's mind. The voice was Zephyrian, familiar, yet distorted. It was Drexen's. I'm not finished yet, Xyla. The void lives on. Xyla and Evelyn exchanged a glance. Though they had defeated Drexen's physical army, it seemed his dark ideology had survived, hidden away in the shadows. This was their final test, a battle, not just for the galaxy, but for the soul of their love. They decided to head to the Nexus, knowing full well it might be a trap. But they weren't afraid. Their bond had never been stronger, and this time they were ready for whatever Drexen had in store. As they approached the desolate region of space, their ship's sensors went haywire. The energy field around the Nexus was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It pulsed with strange, dark energy, almost as if it were alive. This place, it feels wrong, Evelyn whispered, her hand tightening around Zyla's. Zyla nodded. Drexen's energy is all over it. Whatever he's planning, it's big. He had grown in power and was determined to prove that love was a weakness that would destroy everything. Drexen approached Zyla during a quiet moment aboard their ship. His voice was low and persuasive. You're being blinded by emotions, Zyla, Drexen said, his eyes cold. Love may feel powerful now, but it will make you weak. It will leave you vulnerable, and when you lose it, the pain will destroy you. Zephyria needs strength, not softness. Zyla felt a flicker of doubt. Drexen's words hit a nerve. He had never felt so deeply before Evelyn came into his life. Was it possible that love, with all its beauty, could also be his downfall? Evelyn sensed something was wrong. Late that night, she found Zyla staring out into the stars, lost in thought. What's on your mind? She asked softly, touching his arm. Zyla turned to her, his voice filled with uncertainty. Drexen told me that love could destroy us, that it will make us vulnerable. Evelyn looked at him, her heart heavy with concern but filled with determination. Love does make us vulnerable, Zyla. But that's not a weakness, it's our greatest strength. Suddenly their ship was pulled into a massive vortex. Alarms blared as they were dragged into the heart of the Nexus, where a massive structure floated, a twisted fortress built from fragments of destroyed worlds. Inside, they could feel Drexen's presence growing stronger. I've been waiting for you, Drexen's voice echoed in their minds. The ship landed on a platform surrounded by endless void, and there, standing at the center of the twisted fortress, was Drexen. But he wasn't the same. He had merged with the void itself, becoming something far more powerful and dangerous, a being of pure darkness, with glowing, soulless eyes. Drexen raised his hands, and the space around them twisted and warped. Reality itself seemed to bend as he unleashed the full power of the void, creating illusions and distortions to confuse and disorient Evelyn and Zyla. You thought love could save you, Drexen sneered, his voice echoing in the void. But love is fragile. It can be broken. Watch as I tear you apart. Evelyn and Zyla were separated by the illusions, each facing twisted versions of their worst fears. Zyla found himself trapped in a vision where Evelyn was gone, leaving him alone in the cold emptiness of space. Evelyn, meanwhile, saw Zyla turn into a cold, emotionless version of himself, rejecting everything they had fought for. But they weren't fooled. Zyla, Evelyn shouted, her voice cutting through the illusion. It's not real. None of this is real. Zyla, hearing her voice, shook off the darkness. His mind cleared, and he realized what Drexen was trying to do. The illusions weren't about breaking them physically, they were meant to break their bond. But Drexen had underestimated the power of their love. Zyla fought his way through the illusions, finding Evelyn in the heart of the fortress. Together they stood against Drexen, their bond shining like a beacon of light in the dark, twisted realm. Drexen unleashed everything he had, summoning the full power of the void to consume them. When you care about someone, you're willing to fight for them, to protect them, even at your own risk. That's what makes love so powerful. It's not about never getting hurt, it's about having something worth the risk. Zyla's doubts faded, and he smiled at her, understanding now, you're right. Without love, we have nothing worth protecting. Arriving on Kragathor, Evelyn and Zyla found a world torn apart by endless war. The leaders, a brutal clan of warriors led by Commander Tavok, were skeptical of this human-alien pair. They had heard of Zephyria's transformation, but they didn't believe it could work on a planet as savage as theirs. Commander Tavok growled as he addressed them. You think your feelings can stop centuries of bloodshed? Here, power is all that matters. Emotions make you weak, make you soft. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice strong and calm. Power alone won't save you. I've seen worlds that were once on the brink of collapse saved by something far more powerful than war. Love isn't about softness, it's about strength. The darkness surged forward, threatening to engulf them both. But Evelyn and Zyla stood firm, side by side, their hands clasped tightly. You've forgotten one thing, Drexen, Zyla said, his voice calm yet powerful. Love isn't just an emotion, it's a force stronger than fear, stronger than hate, and it will always find a way. Evelyn smiled, her heart full of warmth. The strength to protect, to forgive, and to grow. Zyla added, your world is dying not because you lack strength, but because you lack connection. You fight for power, but you have nothing to unite you. Love brings people together, makes them stronger together than they ever could be alone. Despite their words, Tavok was unconvinced. He decided that only a true test of strength could prove their claims. He proposed a challenge if Evelyn and Xyla could survive the trial of the abyss, an ancient Kragathian rite of passage that no outsider had ever survived. Then perhaps their way of peace would be considered. The trial was dangerous, set in the heart of Kragathor's most perilous canyon, filled with deadly beasts and treacherous terrain. But Evelyn and Xyla accepted the challenge, knowing that if they could win this test, they could show the Kragaths that love and unity were stronger than any weapon. The trial of the abyss was brutal. Evelyn and Xyla faced monstrous creatures with razor-sharp claws, endured fiery storms, and navigated collapsing pathways. But through it all, they fought side by side, their bond growing stronger with every challenge. Xyla used his Zephyrian intelligence and quick reflexes, while Evelyn relied on her human resilience and ingenuity. At one point, they reached a seemingly impossible gap in the canyon, with no way across. Xyla, exhausted but determined, looked at Evelyn and said, "We have to make it. For them, for us." Evelyn, her heart pounding, nodded. "We will." Together, they found a way to leap across the gap, trusting each other completely. As they landed safely on the other side, Xyla realized that his feelings for Evelyn had reached a depth he had never thought possible. It wasn't just about learning love anymore, it was about truly living it. When Evelyn and Xyla emerged from the abyss, battered but victorious, the Kragathian warriors were stunned. Never before had outsiders completed the trial, let alone a human and an alien. Commander Tavok, shocked but impressed, finally admitted, "Perhaps there is strength in your way." "We're not afraid of the dark, Drexen. We are the light." Together, they unleashed the true power of their love. It wasn't something that could be measured or controlled by technology or force. It was the bond between them, the trust, the sacrifice, the unwavering belief in one another. As their love surged, it created a blinding light that began to push back the void. Drexen screamed as the light pierced through him, unraveling the darkness he had merged with. The void began to crumble, and Drexen's form disintegrated, his power fading into nothingness. The fortress collapsed around them, but Evelyn and Xyla stood tall, their love shielding them from the chaos. As the last remnants of Drexen and the void were destroyed, the nexus dissolved into the stars, leaving only peace behind. With Drexen gone, the galaxy was finally at peace. The message of love and unity spread even further, reaching the farthest corners of the cosmos. Planets that had been at war for centuries began to rebuild, united by the belief that love was not just a fleeting emotion, but a force that could change the very fabric of reality. Evelyn and Xyla became legends. "You have shown more courage and unity than any of my warriors." The Kragaths, seeing the power of love and unity in action, began to question their old ways. Over time, they started to adopt a new way of thinking. War wasn't the only way. Through love, they could forge alliances, protect each other, and rebuild their planet in a way that would last. With Kragathor transformed, other planets began to take notice. Evelyn and Xyla became symbols of hope, proof that love could bridge any gap even between worlds as different as Earth and Zephyria. Together, they traveled the galaxy, spreading their message of unity, love, and strength in emotion. But through all their adventures, their love for each other remained at the heart of it all. They proved that no matter how vast the universe, no matter how different the beings within it, love could truly bridge two worlds. As they stood together on the balcony of their ship, looking out at the endless stars, Xyla smiled at Evelyn. Stories of their love, how it bridged not just two worlds, but countless others, were told across the stars. They became symbols of hope, and their names were whispered in the halls of power, in the hearts of the young and old, and in the dreams of those seeking a better future. But for Evelyn and Xyla, the greatest reward was not the fame or the legend they had become. It was simply being together, their love continuing to grow, stronger than ever. One quiet evening, aboard their ship, Xyla looked out at the stars and smiled. "Do you think it's over now?" Evelyn laughed softly. "The adventure? Maybe. But love? Love is never over. It's only just beginning." They stood there, hand in hand, gazing out at the infinite expanse of the universe. The stars twinkled above them, each one a reminder of the countless lives they had touched. And as they embraced, they knew that no matter what the future held, Their love would always be the light that guided them through the darkest of nights. 4. In the end, love had not just bridged two worlds, it had become a force that transcended time, space, and even the boundaries of reality itself. And as their ship sailed off into the stars, their story, a story of love, hope, and unity, would live on, forever written in the cosmos.